السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام.
آمين وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
I don't know. Is Zara available? So I'm not sure if Zara is available. So opening recitation from sorry. So today let's take any volunteer who is willing to do the opening recitation. Omalan Kasim Abdullahi Ali, you can do that, please. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ جعل فيكم أنبياء وجعلكم ملوكا وآتاكم ما لم يؤت أحدا من العالمين. يا قوم ادخلوا الأرض المقدسة التي كتب الله لكم ولا ترتدوا على أدباركم فتنقلبوا خاسرين. قالوا يا موسى إن فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها فإن يخرجوا منها فإنا داخلون. قال رجلان من الذين يخافون أنعم الله عليهم ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين. قالوا يا موسى إنا لن ندخلها أبدا ما داموا فيها فاذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا إنا هاهنا قاعدون. قال رب إني لا أملك إلا نفسي وأخي فافرق بيننا وبين القوم الفاسقين. قال فإنها محرمة عليهم 40 سنة يتيهون في الأرض فلا تأس على القوم الفاسقين. واتل عليهم نبأ بني آدم بالحق إذ قربا قربانا فتقبل من أحدهما ولم يتقبل من الآخر قال لأقتلنك قال إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. لئن بسطت إلي يدك لتقتلني ما أنا بباسط يدي إليك لأقتلك إني أخاف الله رب العالمين. إني أريد أن تبوء بإثمي وإثمك فتكون من أصحاب النار وذلك جزاء الظالمين. فطوعت له نفسه قتل أخيه فقتله فأصبح من الخاسرين. فبعث الله غرابا يبحث في الأرض ليريه كيف يواري سوءة أخيه قال يا ويلتى أعجزت أن أكون مثل هذا الغراب فأواري سوءة أخي فأصبح من النادمين من أجل ذلك كتبنا على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا ولقد جاءتهم رسلنا بالبينات ثم إن كثيرا منهم بعد ذلك في الأرض لمسرفون إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف أو ينفوا من الأرض ذلك لهم خزي في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم إلا الذين تابوا من قبل أن تقدروا عليهم فاعلموا أن الله غفور رحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه الوسيلة وجاهدوا في سبيله لعلكم تفلحون إن الذين كفروا لو أن لهم ما في الأرض جميعا ومثله معه ليفتدوا به من عذاب يوم القيامة ما تقبل منهم ولهم عذاب أليم يريدون أن يخرجوا من النار وما هم بخارجين منها ولهم عذاب أليم والسارق والسارقة فاقطعوا أيديهما جزاء بما كسبا نكالا من الله والله عزيز حكيم فمن تاب من بعد ظلمه وأصلح فإن الله يتوب عليه إن الله غفور رحيم ألم تعلم أن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض يعذب من يشاء ويغفر لمن يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير يا أيها الرسول لا يحزنك الذين يسارعون في الكفر من الذين قالوا آمنا بأفواههم ولم تؤمن قلوبهم ومن الذين هادوا سماعون للكذب سماعون لقوم آخرين لم يأتوا يحرفون الكلم من بعد مواضعه يقولون إن أوتيتم هذا فخذوه وإن لم تؤتوه فاحذروا ومن يرد الله فتنته فلن تملك له من الله شيئا أولئك الذين لم يرد الله أن يطهر قلوبهم لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم سماعون للكذب أكالون للسحت فإن جاءوك فاحكم بينهم أو أعرض عنهم وإن تعرض عنهم فلن يضروك شيئا وإن حكمت فاحكم بينهم بالقسط إن الله يحب المقسطين وكيف يحكمونك وعندهم التوراة فيها حكم الله ثم يتولون من بعد ذلك وما أولئك بالمؤمنين.
حسبك بارك الله فيك. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to find ourselves here for the fifth webinar, which inshallah is going to take place now. Sorry for starting late. We understand that there are those that went for prayers, including the uh, person presenting the slide, Malan Salim. But inshallah, we are going to start now. All our presenters are here with us, our speakers. They have been here with us since. Sorry for starting late. Inshallah, as we may know, today's topic we will be discussing on time awareness and prioritization mastery. That is taking control of your time, which is specific the topic of Dr. Bashir Salim Maina. And inshallah, we are going to start proper now. Just a brief about Dr. Bashir Salim Maina, even though we are out of time. Bashir Salamena, as it will be presented now, is currently a PhD candidate in computer science and engineering from KIIT University, India. He had his MSc Computer Science from INIMS in India. Also, he had a postgraduate diploma in education, that is PGDE, University of Maiduguri, Nigeria. Also, he had a BSc Computer Science from Ahmadu Bello University. His research focus is in artificial intelligence, natural language processing, that is NLP, and machine learning, deep learning, and low resource language technologies. He has many professional experience, including he's a current lecturer, one department of computer science, UB State University. He is the principal invigilator for two consecutive Google Research Explore CSR projects. He is the founder of UB Artificial Intelligence Hub, that is YAIH. He is the person who organized multiple AI and research capacity development workshops in Nigeria and India. He also supervised over 50 undergraduate research projects in computer science. He had experience in teaching Python, programming, software engineering, AI-related courses, and research methodology. Also, in terms of research grant, he had a Google Research Explore CSR grant recipient, that is 2023 and 2024, multiple TED Fund institution-based research grant recipient, the Jungle Girls UB organizer 2018. He has also many professional affiliations, including he is a member International Association of Engineers in Hong Kong. So due to time limit, this is exactly where we are going to be presenting our first presenter, Dr. Bashir Saleh Maina. Doctor, over to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I think without further delay, I would like to go straight into my presentation tonight. of course, we are going to be talking about time awareness and prioritization mastery, how you are going to take control of your time. So before we start, of course, I would like to ask each and every one of us a very simple question, and I believe many of us can answer that question in our minds. So the question is, have you ever gone to bed at night having a feeling of busy the whole day, but when you try to evaluate your achievement for the day, you literally achieve nothing? I think many of us can relate to this situation. You may have a lot of plans for the day, you may be very busy throughout the day, but when you evaluate your achievements for the day, you find out that you achieve nothing. So this is to tell you that being busy sometimes is not always about being productive. Many of us can make plans, can make ambitions, can have goals, yet before we realize, then of course you will see that days and weeks and months disappears, and they did not just disappear, but they disappear into distractions, postponements, social media activities, unnecessary activities, and of course unfinished responsibilities. So this is the situation majority of our youth nowadays are having. You will find a youth, taking most of his time throughout his studies, but at the end of the day, he will achieve literally less than what is expected. So this is to tell you that this topic is very important, and this is something, if all of us handle carefully and effectively, then it is definitely going to increase our productivity. So let me just go directly into the slide. Okay, let me go to the slide, or should I just share it myself? Okay, I think let me just share the slide. Yeah, I think my slide is visible, right? Hello? Yeah, can you all see my outline?
Yes, we can.
Can you see it?
Yes, sir,
Yeah,
we
okay.
can. Yes, sir,
Okay,
we can.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Sir.
yes. Okay, so if you look at the outline, we're just going to be discussing on six headings or sections. Of course, the first one is introduction, and then we look at understanding the time, the prioritization techniques, the productivity strategies, overcoming procrastination, and of course, we are going to look at the conclusion. So, of course, the session goal, what we intend to achieve at the end of this session is for each and every participant to have, time awareness, to have effective prioritization and productivity strategies. And then we look at some practical ways to overcome procrastination. Of course, this is to help participants take intentional control of their time for great academic, professional, and personal success. Of course, time is something that, whatever you are doing, if you really take good control of your time and you really plan, and you work towards achieving your tasks without procrastination, and of course, you are going to be successful in either your academic, your professional, or your personal, endeavors. So there is one saying that time never stops moving, neither should your goals. Okay. So since the time will never stop moving, then your goal should also never stop moving. So, but the point is, whenever the time is moving, your goal is also moving, but it should all actually be moving towards success. It should actually be moving towards achievement. Of course, time is as important as anything you can think of. Of course, we all know the famous verse in the Quran. I believe every one of us is aware of that verse, which is "Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr." So you see, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is swearing by the time, okay, that indeed mankind is in a loss. So if you look at it, and scholars are saying whenever you see, Allah swearing with something, then it means that particular thing is as important as you can imagine. So you see, this is spiritually telling you that time is very important, and of course, it is something that every one of us has, irrespective of whether you are, a student or a professor, whether you are a poor, whether you are wealthy, whatever you are or whosoever you are, then this is something that you all or we all have. And of course, poor planning of the time will literally create stress. Most of the times when you see students complain of stress, it's nothing but poor planning of their time, and we are going to see how that occurs. And of course, when you focus, then whenever you focus, then it determines your productivity, and time mismanagement reduces growth. And of course, when you are talking about time management, you are talking about how you are going to plan, how you are going to prioritize, how you are going to have some focus, and how you are going to achieve your day-to-day, plans. So, of course, there is always effect of poor time mismanagement. Whenever you have a poor time mismanagement, then it is going to cost you. These are some of the challenges you can have. So, for example, the procrastination, the social media distractions, lack of planning, missed deadlines, academic pressure, burnout, and stress. These are things that will actually happen to a person when he has a poor time management. Imagine when two students, if you have two students, for example, they attend the same class, the same lecturer is teaching them, and both students are intelligent, they understand what the lecturer is teaching them. But at the end of the day, you see that, student A will have, let's say, 5 points, and student B will have, let's say, 1 point something with a lot of carryovers. This is nothing but poor time management. When a student or when a person manages his time carefully and effectively, then of course he is going to succeed easily. So of course, we are going to, of course, so what I was saying earlier, that sometimes you will find a person is busy throughout the day, but when he evaluates his achievements in the night, you will find out that he is actually just being busy, but he is not being productive. So being busy is not the same as being productive. You may be busy, but you are not productive. So many people spend their day reacting to distractions instead of intentionally working on meaningful goals, especially nowadays with the social media, where before you know, you will just be scrolling through reels. Okay, you will just be scrolling through reels that will take you hours of your time. Of course, you are going to destroy your resources, you are going to destroy your time. So this is one of the distractions of nowadays. Students or youth of nowadays are literally always with their smartphones, but they do nothing but engage themselves in social media. So engaging yourself in social media is a lot of time. Is just a distraction. And one very important thing that we should always keep at the back of our mind is, sometimes in the social media you will find out, because they use some algorithms that will bring, reels that you frequently view, or they will actually bring some post of some individuals that you frequently visit, or you frequently poke. So the point is, those issues will actually determine your thinking. Sometimes the first thing you do in the morning is just to open maybe your Facebook or your TikTok, and the first video you will see will completely change your mood in the whole day. Maybe they are talking about politics, and maybe they are bringing something that is so that we'll focus on our goals. I want to believe none of us will have a goal of viewing all the social media videos that have been posted from a particular region, for example. I don't think any individual will say, okay, my goal today is to view at least 50 videos that have been posted from the north, for example, or 50 videos that have been posted using Hausa as a language. Or let me say, maybe somebody will say, okay, my goal today, or my goal in this year is actually to watch the whole of the videos or the whole of the reels that social media actors make, so that I will just be aware of what is happening in the social media space. I don't think anybody will have that as his goal. So if that is the case, then of course we need to set our goals and we need to work towards our goals. Anything short of working towards your goal is actually a distraction. And of course, distractions are meant to just distract you from achieving your goals. So productive people focus on impact, and they protect their time intentionally, and they prioritize what truly matters. So what truly matters, you set it as your
Yes,
goal, and then you
apologies.
try. Yes. Okay.
Apologies, your screen is no longer visible.
It's no longer visible till now.
Yes.
It's still not visible.
No, it's
Yes.
visible. I think it's from his end.
Okay. So somebody is saying it's visible. I think you can see that is that frog, right? Principle.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, okay. So the point is, productive people try to focus on impact, and they try to protect their time intentionally, and of course they prioritize what truly matters. So sometimes your ability to know what matters is actually determinant of your success in whatever you are doing. You will have a lot of lists of items, or a lot of list of tasks that you are expected to perform, but you will find out that you have only 24 hours. Let's say you have, let's say, 30 tasks, and those 30 tasks, each and every one of them will take 1 hour, for example. So you don't have 30 hours in a day, and you have to finish them all within the day. So the practical expectation is you take what truly matters, and what doesn't really matter, then you can trash it out, or you can delegate the responsibility to other people to handle that for you. So this is actually very important whenever you are handling some issues. So there is one very important book by Brian Tracy. He calls the book Eat That Frog. Okay. So the Eat That Frog, there is a principle by Brian Tracy. He's saying that your frog in every day is your biggest and most important task. Okay. So the one you tend to avoid, that is the frog. Your most important task that you have to fulfill, or you have to carry out in a day, is your frog. So, and you always tend to avoid that particular task. But the moment you can tackle that your frog as the first thing in the morning, then once you have tackled it and you have eaten it. In fact, he is even saying that, you have two frogs, for example. Imagine that these two frogs are your frogs, and your tax, you have to eat, the two frogs. It is mandatory for you to eat them. It is wajib. So the first thing you should do is to look for the ugliest, frog and start eating it. Once you can eat that frog, then of course, the rest of the activities will be easier for you. So the point is, the frog is now, your biggest and most important task. So, and you always try to avoid it. You always try to avoid it. You always try to postpone it. Sometimes you will find out that you have 1 week to exams, and your frog will be how you can finish all your courses, and revise them again and again. But you tend to, avoid, finishing the tasks. You will say, okay, tomorrow I will do it. Next tomorrow I will do it. But you will find out that if you try to overcome, let's say, for example, the difficult, maybe you are taking 5 courses, and the most difficult of them, is, let's say, Maths 101, for example. Okay. So if you finish Maths 101, maybe the remaining subjects are very, very easy. So you'll find out that once you eat that, the ugliest frog, which is Maths 101, in this case, you will find out the other ones will be easier for you to take care of. So always look at, your most important task, and make sure it is, for example, if it is the most difficult of them, try to finish it first. Okay. And once you finish it, you will find out that it will set tone for a very productive and a successful day. Okay. So they said you should be more productive, that you will reduce procrastination and get more important things done. Okay, the more you are more productive, then of course you will reduce your procrastination, and more of your activities will be done without any problem. So I want to believe many of you must have read this book. If you have not, you can just find, the book. I think you can get it online and read. It is very important. He has some 21, principles of how you can overcome procrastination. I think it is one of the best sellers in terms of procrastination. So he said his principle is always that if the first thing you do each morning is eat a live frog, you can go through the day knowing the hardest task is already completed. So when you eat a live frog every morning, for example, and of course it means the whole of the day or the whole of the hardest task is already completed. So the frog now is the biggest important task, as we have said earlier. So stop postponing difficult responsibilities and start with what matters most. Okay, so you make a bucket list. What matters most, you start with it, and then you continue with the other activities. And then there is this 80-20 rule by Pareto. They call it the Pareto principle, right? He's saying that 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. So you focus on high impact activities, and those high impact activities will actually produce 80% of your results. And of course, you reduce low value distractions, you identify what truly matters. So identifying what truly matters is the most important thing as far as achievement is concerned. So when you identify what truly matters, for example, in your field, you want to specialize in a particular area of research. So identify what truly matters in that area. Once you identify that, then of course you can just start achieving some very important results in that particular area. So, and then there is this Eisenhower matrix, whereby he tries to, look at things that are urgent and important. So what should you do? Things that are not urgent and not important, what should you do? For example, if you have urgent and important things, you do them immediately. But if it is urgent but not important, you can delegate. So you have to look at the urgency of the matter. If the matter is urgent and it is very important, you can do it. then do it immediately. But if it is urgent but not important to you, you can delegate other people, to handle it. Let's say, for example, you have a scenario. You are having an exam, and of course the exam is urgent and it is important, right? It has been fixed, and maybe it may not be scheduled. If you fail to attend, the exam, so it is urgent and important, you write it, you go and do it immediately, right? But it is urgent but not important. For example, you have to eat. It is urgent, right? But it is not important in that situation. So you can keep it aside and do it later. Okay. So anything that is urgent and important, you do it immediately. But anything that is urgent but not important, and you can delegate someone to do, that task or that responsibility. So you delegate someone to do it so that it will be achieved since it is urgent. But what if it is important but not urgent? If it is important but it is not urgent, meaning it can wait. So you can just schedule it properly. Just look at your available time in your schedule and then slot that activity and you perform it when it is, appropriately convenient for you. And if something is neither urgent nor important, yes, yes. Okay, when something is neither urgent nor important, of course, you need to eliminate it. Okay, if any
Um, please, the participant should endeavor unmute their mics on. Apologies for that. You can continue, sir. It seems you are muted, sir. Can you kindly unmute?
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, okay. So the point is, it is not every task that demands your attention that deserves your attention. Okay, some tasks demand your attention. For example, some people will demand, to have time with you, but you actually they don't deserve your attention. So why should you give them the time? So this is always what you should actually put at the back of your mind. That's why sometimes they will say, okay, some people maybe they don't relate with people, they don't give people their time. So why should they give you your time? Why should they give you their time? Their time is very important that they cannot just give to anyone without deserving their intention or their attention. So these are some of the things I believe are practical productivity techniques, like you plan your day nightly. So for example, tonight, you can just plan, the next day. For example, these are the things you have achieved today, and these are the things you have not achieved that you want to carry them over to tomorrow. So this is very important actually. And what I do personally, and this is something I got from one of my mentors. He used to have a book every day he writes. Okay. For example, today's date is 24th. So he will write 24th of May 2026. Just like a diary, but this is not a diary. It's just what they call it. He just write it in a plain, uh, what they call it. Just a notebook. Okay, just in a notebook. So he just writes 24th May 2026. He will set the goals for today. Okay, maybe he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 10, for example. And this 10, maybe he will prioritize, he will write them based on priorities. Number one is the most important, number two, followed by two, followed by three, like that until 10. So the whole of the day, he will try to, he will try to achieve or perform all those activities. And the ones he cannot do or the ones he cannot finish, then he will carry them over to the next day. So in the night, he will try to see, okay, what has he achieved today? Okay, I have achieved one, I have achieved two, I have achieved five, four and three are pending. This is pending, that is pending. So what can I carry to the next day? What do I have in the next day? Like that. Okay, so when you plan accordingly and when you set top priorities and you reduce distractions, of course, one of the best ways to reduce distractions, you can use the 5-minute rule, whereby you can just set a timer, for example, for most of us that are, or for most of you that are too much inclined into like some distractions, like the social media, for example. Somebody cannot spend 1 hour without his mobile phone. So you can just say, okay, 25 minutes, no mobile phone, no nothing. Okay, within the 25 minutes, you make sure you keep all distractions away and you focus on your major activities in a day. So when you do that, you will find out that you will achieve a lot of things within the 25 minutes, and then you reward yourself, with some rewards based on your achievement. So you use time blocks, of course. You can work during your peak hours. Everybody has his peak hour, and you should avoid multitasking. And this is where a lot of
Oh, no, I'm not hearing. No.
Yes, apologies. Just a moment. I believe he's having a bit of a network issue. Just exercise patience for a minute. It's going to come. Uh, can you all hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can. We can hear.
Okay. I think Dr. Bashir had some network issues. It seems he dropped off the call. In the meantime, he was almost done with his session, actually. You can kindly drop questions if you have for him while we reach out and see if he can rejoin the session. Without further ado, I think we can, I will share my screen and we can move into the next session. I will reach out to him. Okay, kindly confirm if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. The first session was basically about clarity, getting clarity and setting the right priorities. I believe one important lesson from the discussions that Dr. Bashir put us through is that productivity does not only begins with planning or setting schedules. You need to have clarity in what you want to achieve. You need to know what are your priorities and be intentional in making decisions. And once a person truly understands what truly matters, the next challenge actually becomes how you consistently organize and protect your time around the priorities you have identified. Like you mentioned, in the presence of a lot of distraction, it's actually a lot of struggle to actually be consistent in maintaining your priority. So to move into the second session, which has to do with structuring and executing your priorities, and also building a realistic system for consistent action. We're going to be inviting our next speaker, Engineer Saleh Babayo, to be taking us through that. Engineer Saleh Babayo is a civil engineer. He has a bachelor's of engineering and civil engineering from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He also has an MSc in civil engineering from the University of Glasgow. He was a beneficiary of multiple scholarships. Some of those include the Nigeria Ajib Exploration Overseas Scholarship and the Commonwealth PhD Scholarship. He's currently working in the oil and gas industry. He's very much interested in mentorship. I've been a beneficiary of, I benefited from some of the mentorship he's offered, and scholarships and community services. He's offered a lot of mentorship in areas. So without any further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to Engineer Saleh Babayo to take us through the second session. So would you like me to continue projecting, or would you like to project yourself?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Confirm you can hear me.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, we can hear you.
So please go ahead and share the screen. Share the slides. So in the meantime, I would like to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's my pleasure to come to this platform.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
All right. So apologies.
Can you hear me, please?
So, all right. So for the second session, it's basically more or less a continuation of the previous session, and a lot of things will be repeated. So to avoid repetition, we'll just skip and just briefly highlight some of the areas where we have intersection. So this second segment is meant to focus on structuring and executing time. You can please move to the next slide. So let's put a bit of context around it. You can move to the next slide. We're talking about structuring and executing your time. So the presentation would cover areas from giving you some skills for transition. Most of the participants here, I understand, are either in their final year, right, about to graduate from their undergraduate programs. And we have fresh graduates as well who have not yet begun their journey in any professional setting. So one of the objectives is to give you some skills that will help you in your transition, right? From your current state, either as a final year student or as a fresh graduate, moving into the professional life. And then some other items there. We can move to the next slide. All right. So as Zura Educational Foundation built from scratch fellow, why does this topic matters to you? So let's put a bit of context around it. The median age in Nigeria is about 18 years. And what is median age? So hypothetically speaking, if you can arrange all Nigerians in their ages, either in ascending or descending order, the median age will give you about 18 years, right? So it means 50% of Nigerians are 18 and below. So this tells you that we have a youthful population in Nigeria. Nigeria has a population of about 237 million people, and almost 150 million people are connected by the internet. So this tells you about internet penetration in Nigeria is quite high. And then social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms constitute more than 90% of notifications on our smartphones. This tells you about distractions, right? The other speaker talked about this kind of distractions from social media. On average, a Nigerian spends about 3 to 4 hours on their phones daily, 3 to 4 hours. And young people, right? We said young people constitute a vast majority of the population. They spend between 5 to 10 hours plus on social media or on their phones. I hope we know that our 9 to 5, when we say 9 to 5, most jobs is usually 9 to 5, right? That's 8 hours, which is usually our business hours in Nigeria and many other countries. If you spend 5 to 10 hours on your phone daily, that's already a full-time job. So that is a takeaway here. If you don't schedule your priorities, the algorithm will, right? It is so unfortunate that the algorithm knows us more than we know ourselves. I think the other speaker alluded to that. If you go to any social media platform, or if you want to do any shopping, you go to Amazon or any of the shopping platforms, you find out that what they throw at you are things that you probably did not think about them. But because they understand your routines, they understand your priorities, perhaps more than you do yourselves, they serve you with what will hold your attention. So that's something for us to think about. If you don't plan your priorities, the algorithm will do it for you. You can move to the next slide. All right, so this too was mentioned by the other speaker. When you've been busy, right, it's not the same thing as being productive. And it's also not the same thing as making meaningful progress. So productivity is when you are working towards a long-term goal, which is productivity, right? As human beings, or as responsible human beings, you are supposed to have your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So I'll give you an example. Say my long-term goal is to obtain a bachelor's degree, right? That's a long-term goal because it takes about maybe 4 years, 4 to 5 years to acquire one in Nigeria. But then there are things you need to do, right? You need to acquire admission, you need to go to school, attend lectures, do assessments, continuous assessments, and the right exams for you to be able to acquire the degree. So what you do on a daily basis are what will accumulate, right, to help you achieve your long-term goal. It's not like just randomly being busy, right? I remember in school those days, um, in engineering, we fondly tell each other, no time to check time. We're always busy. But the question is, are we productive? Are we doing the right things? Are we focusing our energy and resources on what will make us, what will help us achieve our long-term goals? Next slide. All right, so I understand that one of the main objectives of this program is that mindset shift, because that's where you start normally. Whatever you want to do, you want to make sure that your mindset is aligned with what you want to do, right? So that you will have the motivation to do it. I think this was mentioned several times. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Are you busy in the right way? Are you focusing on things that add value to you as human being? So there are so many tools here, but then I'll just mention one here. That's Parkinson's law. It states that work expands to fill the time allocated, causing inefficiency without clear boundaries and deadlines. So, for instance, you have a task that you could complete in, say, 1 hour, and you allocate 5 hours to it. What would you do naturally? It's just to create inefficiencies to see that you utilize the time in court, right? You're just expanding that small task that could be completed in 1 hour to be completed in 5 hours with a lot of inefficiencies. So I think the other speaker has spoken about urgent and important tasks. So, we normally say we are busy, right? And we have urgent tasks to attend to. Somebody would come and say, well, this is urgent, please attend to it. This is urgent, this is urgent. Some of them are not actually urgent. And some of them could be urgent, but not important. And that speaks to the Eisenhower matrix. And the other speaker has spoken to that too. You can go to the next slide. So prioritization frameworks. Next slide. Still coming up. Okay. Thanks. So how do you prioritize your time? Well, then before you prioritize, before you think about prioritizing your time, you need to understand how you spend your time. And this is the concept of time audit. How do you spend your time? If I ask you, if you have never done it before, it is difficult to put numbers to how you spend your time. But then it's something you can do. You can do, say, 72 hours audit on your time. 72 hours, that's 3 days, right? So how do you spend your time? Not necessarily on individual activities. Say you eat and it takes you maybe 15 minutes and you eat 3 times in a day, that's 45 minutes. It doesn't have to go to that granular level. But then you can group the activities. Say, how many hours does it take you to sleep? An adult normally sleeps for a period of about 7 hours, right? That's the healthiest sleeping period. And then what other things do you do with your time? You do social media, right? Across all the platforms. I'm sure majority of us here on this call do between 3 to 5 or have between 3 to 5 social media accounts. Almost all of us here have WhatsApp accounts. Hope you know WhatsApp is social media. You do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of these are social media platforms. So how much time do you spend on those? And then do you study? Do you do other productive activities? So this is the kind of audit you want to do, right? So you group the activities, like I mentioned, and then the objective is not about taking blames, right? It's about helping you to identify how you spend your time and how you can focus on those items that add value to you as individual. It might shock you when you see the report, right? How you spend huge amount of time on social media. Remember the statistics I presented earlier. An adult in Nigeria, sorry, a young person in Nigeria spends an average of 5 to 10 hours on social media. That's a lot of time. That's already a full-time job. Next slide. So I don't want to dwell on this. This was probably explained by the previous speaker. This is the Eisenhower matrix. So basically, you knowing after you finish auditing yourself, right, you can group your activities into 4 quadrants of this matrix. You have the first row that's important, second row not important, first column urgent, and the second column not urgent. So things that are important and urgent, you need to do them now. He gave an example of exam. If you have an exam tomorrow, it's important and it is urgent. So you prepare for it now. And for something that is important and but not urgent, say for instance, you need to prepare for a presentation you have that is coming up next year. You have basically 1 year, right? So you have a lot of time. You don't have to focus on it now while you can attend to other issues. So what you could do is to schedule a time for it. Say you want to start preparing, or you want to spend 1 hour every weekend to look at it, since you have a lot of time. And then items that are not important but they are urgent. Say for instance, you are going on a vacation and you need to book your flight. That is quite urgent, right? Because if you don't do that on time, you will run the risk of not getting any space. But then it's something you can delegate. You can just pay agencies to do that for you. Or if you have any personal secretary, they can do that for you. So why would you focus your productive time to do things that others can do for you? And then not important and not urgent, like social media. We always scroll down to find the bottom of our feed, thinking we will ever find the bottom. But keep scrolling and you will never find the bottom, right? So that's something that is not important and not urgent. In fact, you can delete it. Well, so let me share a tip of what I do some of the times, not all the times. We're all guilty, right, of social media addiction. Sometimes when I get tired of social media, I delete some of my social media accounts, literally delete the applications from my phone, like Facebook, Twitter, formerly Twitter, that's X. I've done that several times. It's only WhatsApp that I've been finding it difficult because of the instant messaging and the role it is playing. But then sometimes I ignore it for a long time. So maybe you could do the same. If you cannot delete it, try to put some level of control over them. Say, for instance, you don't want to spend more than 2-3 hours daily on social media. You need to be disciplined anyways for you to be able to do that. Next slide. So this is about time blocking. So this mostly applies to professionals. In most organizations, in organized sectors, we use Teams, right? I'm sure for this foundation too, the BFS, we use Teams. So if you want to do any meeting, you go and block calendars. So that's a good practice. It's also a way of planning your time. If you have a meeting, you block calendars. Say tomorrow, between 10 to 11, you have a meeting. And if say 2 to 4 is free and someone wants to schedule a meeting, they can check your calendar, find your free time, and then schedule a meeting. All right. But then for non-professionals, right, if you don't have Teams, you could also use some tools on your phone like calendar, reminder, and others. So for instance, instead of telling someone, please remind me tomorrow, I need to do XYZ, why not just go to your phone, right? Some phones have reminders for calendar. Just go to your calendar and put a note that tomorrow by 10 a.m. I want to do this. Just put a note and your phone will remind you. So some people use sticky notes as well. If you go to offices, you'll see sticky notes. Just write a brief description of what you want to do. Just place it somewhere, right? And that reminds you. So there is something special about writing. So there is a connection between the brain and the hand. What you write has a special place in your heart compared to what you write on a digital device or what you have in your mind. So it's good you write. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So how do you sustain your energy and focus? So the other speaker too spoke to this as well. You need to know when is your peak cognitive hours. There are tasks that are demanding, they are high energy demanding, and you need to find peak cognitive hours for you to execute them more efficiently. And for instance, people that do memorization, they will tell you that early in the morning say after Subi prayer, that's the best time for you to do memorization when the brain is still fresh. You just woke up from sleep and the brain is fresh, right? So it's the best time. It's like the best time for you to do your memorization. So other people also find midnight, say between 1 a.m. to 3 or 4 a.m., a good time because we have less distraction. People are asleep, right? And it's a good time for you to have quiet and uninterrupted time with undivided attention. So you audit yourself and you ask yourself, right? You know yourself better than other people know you. So what time is your peak cognitive hours? And then work with it if you have any high energy demanding and tasks to execute. Um, so there are some practical adjustments. We like to multitask sometimes. You're attending this meeting, I'm sure some people are on their social media, right? Checking Facebook, X, and WhatsApp, responding to messages while you are listening to a lecture. And perhaps you have your TV open, right? You're watching a football match. And you're telling yourself that you can't be able to assimilate all the different bits of information you're getting. But that's a way of deceiving yourself. Naturally, as human beings, we are not wired to be multitasking. So you end up dividing your attention and not getting anything fully. So if you're doing something, just focus on that thing, right? Give it undivided attention. Get the maximum you can get from it. And when you're done with that task, move to another one. So if you can, just do one task at a time. One task at a time instead um, of focusing on multiple tasks at a time. And that will make you unproductive. Next slide. Okay. Sorry, did I speak to the previous slide?
Yes.
Okay, I've spoken to it, right? Okay. So distractions, this too was touched a bit by the previous speaker, distractions and procrastination, etc. So there is this Pomodoro technique. If you have a task, break it down into small and manageable chunks. So say for instance, that's why if you're doing project management, if you have a project, they will break it down into smaller tasks and then you will have milestones. Instead of just taking it one big chunk at a time, just break it down into sizable chunks so that you can take one, focus on it, get it accomplished, and move to the next one. So that's a way of also managing your tasks, especially when it comes to execution. And next slide. I don't know, am I doing well with time?
Yes, you're
Okay.
on time.
All right, so I'm sure I'm wrapping up. So action plan, move to the next slide. So a few tools have been mentioned in this engagement, right? From what the previous speaker mentioned to some of the tools I've mentioned. So let me challenge you. The immediate challenge I'm giving to you is audit yourself. Remember, I mentioned something about time audit. So audit yourself for 72 hours, perhaps starting tomorrow morning. From tomorrow morning, I don't know, maybe from 6 a.m. for the next 72 hours, just group your routine activities. Um, you read, it doesn't matter whatever you read. So that's reading. So you put it in one bucket and see how much time you give it to it in 24 hours. You sleep. Do you normally sleep maybe 6, 7, 8 hours in a day? And what other things? Social media, casual conversation with family and friends, all those things. Do you exercise and go to gym? So put all of them according to the nature of the task in a bucket and then audit yourself how you spend your time. All those non-value adding tasks, try to optimize them, try to minimize them. But then please focus on progress and not perfection. Perfection is not for man, right? We are not complete, so we can't be perfect. But then you strive to come as close to perfection as possible, right? You always try to continuously improve as human being, even though you cannot be perfect. But then that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse for you not to attempt to correct mistakes. So those social media platforms that you spend a lot of time, say 7, 8 hours in a day, see how you can minimize them. You don't have to eliminate them overnight, which is usually difficult, but then you can minimize the amount of time you spend on them, right? And those tasks that require more time, those tasks that add value to you, say reading books, reading Quran, attending classes, if you think the time is not good enough, add more, right? So all of us have 24 hours. Nobody has 25 hours and nobody has 23 hours. We all have 24 hours. If the time is not enough for one activity, you can take from other activities, say from social media, you take 2 hours, add to your reading time in a day, which will make you a better person. Next slide. All right, so this will be my last slide, I suppose. This is just for further learning. A few tools have been mentioned, like the Parkinson's law, the Eisenhower principle, right, which is the 2 by 2 matrix about important, not important, urgent, and not urgent. And then a few books recommended for your further reading. The first speaker mentioned the Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. So I will add another one. I think I've not mentioned it here. The Power of Self-Discipline, No Excuses by Brian Tracy, the same author. So Eat That Frog, The Power of Self-Discipline, No Excuses by Brian Tracy. And then some other books have been mentioned in this slide. I'm sure they will share the slides with you, so you would see them. But then, if you cannot read all of them, please read Atomic Habits by James Clear if you have not done that already. It's a good book, and I'm sure you would love it. It will go a long way in changing your perspective about time and about habits, things you do, especially at granular levels. If you can, give yourself some targets. Say every week you want to read one book. If you can, if you don't have the time, say every month, a minimum, you can read one book, and then maybe check one of those skills on the right hand side of the screen and master it and see how you can apply it to your own daily life. Last slide. Could you move to the last slide? Yeah. So I'll leave you with this quotation. Um, Charles Buxton says, "You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make it." Right? Like I made mention earlier, we all have 24 hours in a day. And if you think you need extra hour for you to be able to accomplish important tasks, then please, the bad news for you is you will never find any additional hour. So the 24 hours you have, please optimize it. Make the best use of every second of the day. And please, if you want to connect with me, my email is there on the screen. I look forward to hearing from you. So I'm sure if there are questions, I will be around to answer them. Thank you so much. I'm back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Engineer Saleh Babayo, for that very insightful presentation. I'm sure all the attendees here, including myself, benefit a lot from this session, as time management and prioritization is something that we have to make use of every day. These distractions that have been mentioned in these sessions, the social media and lack of clarity in prioritizing tasks is something that at one point in time, everyone is guilty of falling for this. And another interesting thing is normally topics like these are often kind of overlooked by students and young professionals. Normally when people hear things like time management, prioritization, things like motivation, consistency, this kind of topics, people kind of look at them as they're simple, common, or kind of repetitive, probably because maybe the results are not measurable. When you learn a technical skill, maybe from a webinar, you kind of see the result from that, a tangible result, something measurable. But this kind of things also have a huge impact on the kind of results you obtain from your task. So I would encourage the mentees and every other participant to ensure you apply the things we've heard from this webinars, from the templates that have been shared before and today, the techniques that have been shared for time management as well. So we're now opening the floor for questions and answers. If you have a question, you can kindly raise up your hand and give you the chance to unmute and ask your question, or you can drop it in the chat box. Yeah. Yeah, I see an hand up, Sani Cousin. And unmute and ask.
Okay, sir. Good evening, and thank you for these wonderful sessions. Thank you all. Well, my question is actually with regards to the comment about multitasking, because I personally am very, very very bad with multitasking. I usually find it difficult to do something while I'm doing another thing. I usually end up losing the two most time, or maybe trying to do it, but kind of not up to even 50% efficient. So I was a victim on that. But what happened based on my prior orientation was it is kind of a disadvantage for me. So I was trying to see if I can improve what to multitask and still be efficient at the same time. But I found it very difficult until now that I was able to join this session, that I was now hearing that do not multitask. But before, I thought the emphasis is learn how to multitask. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It is only now that I'm realizing that it is run away from multitasking and have an undivided attention on one task. It is just now that I'm realizing. So I would just want to have a clear mindset from the professionals, which is the best, learning to be better on multitasking, or learning to be undivided, having undivided attention on one task at a time. Which one, please, is the best? Because I'm just realizing this now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Sani Kasim. Yes, Engineer Salih Babayo, and take the question.
All right. So thank you so much. I've not taken note of the name of the person that asked the question. I think Sani, right?
Yes, Sani
Yes, sir.
Kasim.
Okay. All right. So multitasking, I would say, well, first of all, whatever I say is there is no universal rule on doing anything. I'm a firm believer of that because people are different and our abilities and capabilities are different. But then there are things that you learn over time as a result of experience. It's possible one or two people or a few people could be efficient while multitasking. But from my own understanding, and from what I see over the years, is when you are multitasking, you lose efficiency, your productivity reduces, for instance, and the quality of what you are doing also suffers. So if you are doing two tasks at a time, I don't know how you well you said you yourself too was struggling while multitasking. I don't know if you've met anyone that does two tasks simultaneously at the same time and doing the two of them perfectly well. It might be difficult, honestly. So instead of doing it, you can actually accomplish the two tasks. But the question is, would you do the two simultaneously, efficiently, and produce a high quality task? I think it's difficult. So, for instance, just assume that you're attending this program, listening to this program, and you have your TV on, listening to news. I don't know how you can process the two information simultaneously. It might be difficult. It's either you're here or you're there at a point in time. So, if you ask me, thank God we are now in the age of AI. There are routine tasks that you don't need to do yourself. AI can do that for you. We have even gotten to a level where we have AI agents, right? Just like you have the way you have personal assistant, you can have an AI agent. Remember the Eisenhower matrix, the 2 by 2 matrix, right? The second row is the not important. So things that could be urgent but not important, like booking flights for holidays, booking hotels, all those things. They are urgent, important. They are urgent but not very important. You could relegate that to, say, for instance, AI agent, or you can delegate that to an agency that could do it for you, and you pay the agency. And some routine tasks as well, checking your emails to find something. You could automate all of those in some AI tools, I believe. So what I'm saying in essence is, from my understanding, multitasking is not an efficient way of approaching tasks. If you could focus on a task at a time, remember what I mentioned about breaking tasks into smaller chunks. You don't have to start a task and finish it 100% before you can do another task. Maybe that was a misconception, or I didn't put it out there clearly. You could do a task, achieve a meaningful progress. So, for instance, you've broken it down into smaller chunks. So, say you have a task that you can break down into 10 small chunks, right? You can do two now. When you accomplish the two, you put a spin so that you can circle back later, and then take another task, make some progress if it is not a task that must be completed now. So, for instance, you have a task that you need to complete in 20 days. You don't have to complete it today, you have 20 days. So, make the necessary progress according to your plan, then drop it and go to the next one so that you can always come back and continue. I don't know if that answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Engineer, for that, for the response to his question. If there's any additional question, you can raise your hand and we can take it. So we have a question in the chat box. Maron Batamasi is asking, one of the issues he has is sometimes he starts something meaningful with motivation, but within a short time, he loses that motivation. So how can he remain consistent towards achieving his goals?
Is that a question for me as well?
Yes, you can take it, Engineer, if you like to.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if my name was called.
I'm not sure it was called. Was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. All right. So, regarding starting the task, I'm not progressing the task and stopping midway. It's a common challenge that many of us face, right? You start on a good note and then you get overwhelmed over time. So one thing that causes that is you taking something too big for you to be consistent. I think it's also a prophetic sunnah that instead of doing big things and not being consistent, it's better you do smaller things and be consistent on them. Um, so, for instance, say you want to memorize the Quran, the Mus'haf we use, the standard Mus'haf, has about 604 pages, right? Say you want to do a memorization and you're just starting, and you say you want to do 10 pages daily. It's possible you have the energy and the brain for the first few days, but then is it something sustainable? Is it something you can do consistently to the end? You probably cannot. So you find out that you burnt your energy. Not even you may not even go far, right? After a few days, you actually check out. What do you do? That's one of the importance of breaking down tasks into sizable chunks. If if 10 pages, but something that you would drop along the way, it's better you take half page but be consistent. It may take a long time, but eventually you're going to get to the finish line. So there is another book, I didn't also put it there, The Four Disciplines of Execution. You can please write it. The Four Disciplines of Execution. And I will summarize the disciplines. Quite an interesting book with some case studies as well. A bit bulky, but it's something you can also read. So the four disciplines, first of all, if you want to execute any task, especially important tasks, how do you execute that from beginning to the end? The first thing they say, well, but this usually works in organization or in teams. But then at individual level, you can also borrow a leaf and see how you can narrow it down to your own unique circumstance. So the first one is focus on your weak. They call it the weak, WIG, widely important goal. So you have so many goals, right? You have so many things you are chasing, but you don't want to do a wild goose chase, right? Randomly chasing so many things. So you focus on your widely important goal. That's number one. So you have 10 items that you think are good and important, but focus on one. Focus on one. I don't mean daily tasks, I mean goals, like bigger goals. So focus on one. And then there are so many ways you can measure your progress. So you act or lead measures. That's the second one. Act or lead measures. So that should be a whole class. Maybe I should have put that on my slides. How do you measure your progress? So there are two ways. Sorry, there are two group of parameters to measure your progress. There is lag indicator and lead indicator. So lag indicators are the outcome you aim to achieve. So say, let me just give us a simple example. Say you are weighing 100 kg and you want to shed weight and maybe shed weight by 20% by the end of the year. Say this is the beginning of the year and you're setting a target. So that's an outcome you aim to achieve. You want to shed 20 kg from 100 to 80 kg, right? From January to December. That's an outcome you aim to achieve. So that's a lag indicator, right? Lagging indicator. Or you call it lagging KPI, key performance indicator. But then how do you achieve that? You need leading indicators. These are things you measure on daily basis. Say for you to be able to shed 20 kg by December, you need to go to gym at least 3 times in a week. That's a lag indicator. Sorry, that's a lead indicator. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, you go to gym. So you check yourself on Monday. Maybe you have a notebook. You check that you have gone to gym on Monday, and then on Wednesday, and then on Saturday. That's a leading indicator because you have control over it. But then shedding 20 kg is not in your hands. Like you don't just put your hands in your pockets and then remove 20 kg and throw it away. You don't control that, but you control your actions to achieve it. Going to gym 3 times in a week. That's a leading indicator. Maybe doing 10,000 steps in a day. That's a leading indicator. So if you are consistent with your leading indicators, it will help you in achieving your lagging indicator. So what they say, the second one is act on lead measures. So forget about the outcome, the 20 kg. You don't control it. It is not in your hands. So just write it and keep it somewhere. Focus on the things you do on daily basis that will help you achieve that, which is the word leading indicator. So act on lead measures. And then the third one is keep a compelling scoreboard. You need to track your progress. So you need to have maybe a scoreboard. So every Saturday, you go to gym on Saturday, you measure your weight. From 100, you become 99. You have shedded 1 kg, right? You are keeping track. You are working towards 80 kg, but you have a scoreboard. So have you done your 3 visit to gym? You tick. Have you done your 10,000 steps every day? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You are checking the box. So you are looking at your like a dashboard. And then last one is create a cadence of accountability. But that's mostly for a team. If you have a team working on the task, you normally have cadence, right? Like progress review meeting. So this is for a team, but then for individual, it will help you as well. You have lead and lag indicators. You have a plan. Then you have ways to measure your success, whether you're on track or not. If you want to memorize the Quran, for instance, your lag indicator is what to memorize the whole Quran, say in 5 years. Your lead indicator is every week you want to do one robo, right? 1/4 of his, and then you want to do Moraja 2 times in a day. So all these things are what leading indicators that will help you achieve your lag indicator. So maybe that should be a whole session. I don't know if I've spoken for too long. Back to you, Salim.
Yes, thank you very much, Engineer Bayo. That was a very detailed answer. And due to time, though I saw a hand, Tijani Abdullahi, we can take one last question and then round up this session.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Alaikum assalam. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So my question is on organizational setting, right? So there are times where you're left with little or no choice. You have to multitask, and then you also have to work under pressure. So basically, my question is under multitasking and pressure. So I'm working under pressure. So mostly, if you have to deal with deadlines or there are cases of emergency or stuff like that. So what I want to know is, and because you can be multitasking and you're not working under pressure, and then you can be working under pressure and not multitasking. So what I want to know is multitasking genuinely an indicator of capability, or having a sustained performance under pressure provides a more accurate measure of professional effectiveness? And also, if you have any tips on how to handle working under pressure, you can also share. I'll be grateful.
Yeah, Tijani Abdullah, thank you for the question. I believe the part on whether multitasking is a measure of someone's ability, the speaker spoke to it in the last question. So the other aspect of your question regarding working under pressure, Engineer Baba, if you would like to take a go at the question. Thank you.
Okay. All right, no problem. So for multitasking, I think I made my opinion clear at the beginning. But then you're right. You're not working in your organization, right? You're working in a company, or it could be in a government organization or agency. And sometimes it happens that you, the situation forces you to do certain tasks simultaneously. I would still argue that that's not the best way to approach different tasks. So I will give you a few pieces of advice. First is, remember we mentioned something about prioritization of tasks. So it's possible you have your plan for the day, but if you go to office, you have emergent issues, and that would distort your priority. So you have to reorganize your priority. So say I have tasks 1 to 5 that I plan to accomplish tomorrow, but upon getting to office in the morning, my boss gave me an assignment that he wanted, or he wants the task to be accomplished by the end of the business day, that's by COB. So if I would stick to my 5 tasks for the day, I won't be able to do that. But then we should have that discussion. I should have a discussion with my boss. Okay, you want me to do this task, but remember you gave me some tasks yesterday, the previous day, and you said you want them today as well. So let's look at the tasks. Which one would you like me to focus on? Right? Just have a discussion with your boss. If I focus on today's one, I won't be able to do the yesterday's one. So which one is your priority? So your boss is human being would understand that there are 2 tasks competing for your time, but you could do only one. So your boss would easily identify the highest priority based on business need and also the situation at hand, the urgency of the task. That's one. Then 2, that is delegation of responsibility. I also mentioned that on the Eisenhower matrix. There are things that you don't have to do yourself. Please, things that you don't have to do, please don't do them. Give it to the people that would do it for you. So, assuming you have a team, you are the team lead, don't be the kind of team lead that would always want to do everything. Things that your team members can support, push it to them, right? Don't be like the kind of person, if you're working in a team, that you want to do everything because you think you're better than others. No. You have 3, 4 in a team, push it to the other team members, or have a discussion during your weekly cadence or your progress meetings. I have a lot on my plate. Find a way to redistribute the workload fairly among the team members. And if you think it's not possible based on the different tasks you have, you can have a discussion with your boss to reprioritize, right? Another way is leveraging on the AI tools. I think I mentioned that, but I can't overemphasize that we are in the 21st century. This is 2026. We have AI agents, we have AI tools that could do amazing jobs. So there are things that you don't have to do it yourself anyway. You have Copilot on Microsoft, you have ChatGPT, you have Gemini, you have Claude. All of them are there. You have DeepSeek. So many AI tools that could do amazing job. But your company has um, probably policy around AI. So if it is permissible in your company, especially if the company uses Microsoft, so most likely they have license for Copilot. There are things you can delegate to Copilot. So say for instance, you completed a meeting and you are asked to produce minute of meeting, right? MOM. That's something that would ordinarily take your time, at least 1 hour to prepare MOM. But your boss is saying, okay, we need to do this. And then you have slides you're preparing for an engagement or you're preparing some talking notes. Just if the meeting was recorded, you can just literally use Copilot to draft minute of meeting. That would save you a lot of time. It's not multitasking, so you just give it prompts and then you focus on the other tasks. And even in your presentation, the AI can help you also reviewing and also in preparing the slides. So if you have other documents, you can share with it. So these are the kind of things. And then there are tasks you have to do yourself. For instance, if you're doing maybe design, there are things AI cannot do for you, at least for now. These kind of tasks, you need to focus on them. But then if you have team members that can do and you review, go for it. Because if you are putting your signature, you are taking ownership, you are being accountable. So let the other team members do. Then you review and make sure that it conforms to all standards. If you're happy with that or you make corrections, you sign it. That's why you don't have your only. So that's why it's not only your boss that is working in that team. You have subordinates. So if you are the lowest of the pyramid, if you are at the bottom of the pyramid, like you don't have any person under you, then have discussion with your boss on things that you have competing priorities. Otherwise, you do poor quality job and they will flog you for that. I don't mean literally, I mean figuratively, but then you will take the blame. You didn't do quality work. So that would be my response. So you mentioned something about working under pressure. Yes, if you are working in an organization, chances are that you will work under pressure, right? Because they are paying you for your time. Literally, the 9 to 5 you work in a company, they are paying you. They are paying you for your time. You literally sold the time to them. So that 9 to 5 is their own time. So they will try to cash out, right? To take as much as they could from you within the 9 to 5. So it's normal to work under pressure, right? That's why you have tools that will help you, and that's why you have team members, and that's why they hired you in the first place. So you yourself should develop techniques, right? That would allow you to work under pressure. Under pressure, some things can just come up depending on the kind of industry you work. Say, for instance, you're working, I don't know, like, maybe you're working as a HR personnel in a company, and you have industrial action, right? And there is heat coming from the top. How do we resolve that? Maybe it's about remuneration, it's about condition of service. Workers are not happy, right? The company will be demanding a lot from HR. So how do we revise the policies? How do we make them happy? How do we engage them? All those things. So that would be hit on you at that moment. And then you need to devise technique, right? Some things that could wait, let them wait. And then you prioritize this. They call it priority over plan. Something new comes and it will trump your existing plan. So I think that would be my response. My response, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer, for the response. I believe Tijani Abdullah will benefit a lot, and all of us will benefit a lot from the response from delegating tasks using AI tools, prioritizing, uh, communicating properly to ensure which tasks you need to prioritize and which tasks should come later. I believe we are out of time, so I would encourage all the attendees to kindly implement the things we've heard from this session, use the tools that have been shared from the Eisenhower metrics, the Pomodoro technique of splitting tasks into smaller chunks. Also, the books that the speakers have shared from the Atomic Habit, 4DX, that's the 4 disciplines of execution, and the book by Brian Tracy as well. For the BFS mentees, as usual, we normally have some kind of mandatory takeaways that you would have to implement from the webinars. So for this webinar, initially we had only one, which is to create a simple weekly timetable for your recording activities. However, I would add one more, which is to conduct a time audit. You can choose a timeline, either 3 days or a week, to conduct a time audit of your schedules. Identify which tasks are taking more of your time, which tasks should take priority, and all. So with this, I'll call on Engineer Salis Yakub to give us the closing remarks and prayer, please.
So sorry, I've been raising my hand, even though since it is already closing, I was trying to plead on behalf of the mentor to respond to one question, but since it is already closing remark, inshallah, we'll find a way to send it to our mentor, Engineer Saleh Babayo, for his response. It seems like the mentee is needing help in terms of he is somehow confused about the exact time he should be reading for his exams because he's in the final year. So inshallah, Malam Usman Abubakar Sahabi will find a way to address it. And inshallah, Sana Atik will be forwarding the response to you. So quickly, I just want to use the medium to thank one of our direct mentor because Engineer Saleh Babayo is our mentor since from our ABU days. He taught us 7201. I believe Sana Atiku can testify. Even Salim, that even though he is quite behind us, I don't know, but maybe he might know him in the university. He is one of the best,
He taught me
brightest
as one more.
mentors we have during our ABU days because he was both in what? Sorry, I don't know if I'm back.
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
can hear
think I
you
am.
now.
So he's one of those who many young people are benefiting from day and night because even after our graduation, I knew that he was posting something like first class guide, how to graduate with first class, because even though he might not want me to say it, but Engineer Baba was always the best wherever he went from secondary. He was the best graduating student from civil engineering, and everywhere he goes. So he is one of the mentors we are really much proud of because even now that he is in the professional place. He used to mentor many of us. We benefited from his mentorship directly. I can say Sana Atiku is here, and even Salim. We were in one of his group just recently. So even he is doing wonderful in his state, Yobe State. He has been organizing quiz, debates, and many more. So I don't want to say much about him, but I believe from how he addressed the questions he respond, you believe to understand that, yeah, he is one of the best that we are having. So, inshallah, we are hoping that we'll be having him soon again because he has many things to give us. And inshallah, we will appreciate that whenever we are requested for him to come and speak for BFS and even other mentorships, inshallah, he will always accept that. So, Engineer Babayu, on behalf of all the mentees, the mentors, the management team, we thank you so much for accepting our invitation and spending much time with us, over almost 2 hours with us. The only thing we can say is Jazakumullahu khairan, and we are hoping that inshallah you will soon join us again for another webinar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So sorry, sorry, man Salim. I forgot. I also want to use the opportunity to thank our other speaker, Dr. Bashir Maina. Coincidentally, they are all from Yobe State. So today, the Yobe people has taken the everything more than even Kanu and Kaduna State people. So, Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Bashir Maina and Engineer Saleh Babayo. So, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Um, yes, thank you very much to the speakers, Jazakumullah khairan, the mentors that have attended. I also saw Dr. Amina Mohammed Mustafa, who spoke in one of our previous webinars just a few weeks back. Thank you very much for attending, and every other BFS mentor and mentee. Jazakumullah khairan, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you everyone for attending.